So this week's Artist Focus, we have the artist with us here, and I'll have him introduce himself.
Hey, how's it going? It's Gr4ves, all the way from Victoria. Howdy do.
Thanks for agreeing to this interview. That's really awesome. I've loved your stuff, so it's actually great to have you on the show.
Hey man, on top of that, we go way back to high school, so anytime.
So I guess the first thing that I'm really curious about is how you got into music. Now, you're like more of a vocalist, right?
Yeah, I'm a vocalist, singer, writer for other artists as well. But the way that I got into this situation was a long rabbit hole of opportunities and luck. But ever since moving to the island, to Vancouver Island, I met up with my buddy who I was in a band with previous to that, and out of just pure luck, there was some kind of connection to a manager. He saw that we were kind of starting a duo. He wanted in, and then it bloomed from there to a solo career, and here we are.
That is crazy. I do remember a little bit of I guess some of that rabbit hole. There was this one sort of like singing TV show you were on. I can't remember the title for the life of me, but
oh man, you going there, aren't you? The show was called The Next Star Supergroup. That's where I met my buddy when we were in the boy band. We got to the finale, which is cool. It wasn't for me. It was basically like having a relationship with 4 dudes that are all alphas. It wasn't really fun. So yeah, quickly left that, and then since my buddy, he was still on the island, and luckily I was moving from Calgary to Victoria, we had a chance to make some music together. And then we started our little duo, and then he wanted to direct his focus to other things, which is totally cool. We're still tight, but I'm still driven for the music. So then my manager and I, we started focusing on the solo career, and yeah, that's kind of where it's at now.
Man, that's awesome. So I guess with your current project now, it seems, at least for all the songs I've followed from you, you've been working with the same producer, Conrad Oldmoney, right?
Exactly, yeah. We've been working tight with him. He's been kind of in our circle since the beginning, really, even when I was in the duo, and he's really opened a lot of doors alongside my manager, Nathan Beswick. That's how we ended up lining a track with Pegboard Nerds, because Pegboard Nerds are super tight with Conrad, and they just sent him a track, just an instrumental, just be like, hey, check this out. And we ripped it from his SoundCloud, and we're like, hey, well, my producer ripped it from the SoundCloud. He's like, hey, you want to surprise him with a track? So yeah, so this is like during a weekend session at his studio, and this is just like in the morning. I'm like, sure, man, let's do it. So after, I don't know, an hour of writing and recording, we just sent it through, and that's where it all started, really.
Oh yeah, that song was great. I can't remember the amount of times I played it when it was still like a pretty fresh release.
Hey man, thank you a lot.
No worries. I guess to go back to your own interest in music, would you say there's anyone who kind of inspired you to start, or any artists that you really respect?
There are many artists that I respect, and I will probably always change that list because it's so vast. But the 2 kind of artists that got me started and had me wanting to start this whole journey, believe it or not, Will Smith, when he was doing his rapping thing, because the album that I grew up with was his last album, which was called Lost and Found, and a lot of people didn't actually listen to that one, but I just kind of appreciated, especially with a time where rap was just like filled with swears and just negativity and all that. He was coming through with some fun jams like Switch, and and just having a good time, no swearing. Especially young me, I'm like, oh, swearing, what is that? Yeah. So yeah, Will Smith and Mario, the guy that sings Let Me Love You, old school R&B type. But one artist, or a couple of artists that I really respect, are also songwriters. So for example, John Bellion, Banks, even Russ. I think Russ is a huge part of the next wave of fans and artists, because I do agree that he is, a DIY pioneer, because, he started with no connections and just consistently put out content and grew to this massive artist,
Yeah, for sure. I guess to double back on the previous question where you had said you had had all this work with your producer, and that eventually got you in with the Pegboard Nerds on a release. I'm kind of curious myself, is there any standout project or performing experience or anything like that?
Yeah, we got this new project coming through where I actually haven't really discussed this yet, but we're gonna be releasing consistently a little bit of mixtape tracks here and there, just to thank the fans, the starter fans, for the support and all that. We also just recently released the new track Chai, and we're gonna be aiming to move our SoundCloud audience to Spotify. So cross our fingers that translates well.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess just to clarify, that is chai as in the actual beverage, right?
Yes, chai the beverage. It was really interesting. The idea behind the song was it started in a completely different direction. But when I sent the demo to Conrad, he made a completely different beat, taking it in an entire different direction. And since he's one of the main producers for EA Sports, he was telling me, hey, you should maybe write this beat or this track so that maybe it could be taken as an NBA track. You know what I mean? Because there were already basketball references in a way, like not a rebound and all that, right? So then I did that. I rewrote it in that way. But in the end, he ended up putting those two versions together, putting my original version about like basically letting your guard down and just falling, just letting things happen. You know what I mean? And so mixing those two together, it kind of created this awesome concept that it took me a while to come up with. But basically, the new Chai version is a metaphor for the thrill of a chase. So let's say that success is the girl in the song in Chai, and the song itself is the thrill of the chase to achieve your goals.
Okay, I see. That's really interesting. So I guess sort of at the end of this interview here, are there any, obviously Chai is available on...
It's on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify.
The Spotify one's the important one because a ton of people are on Spotify. It's more convenient to get it that way than anywhere else now.
Exactly. And what we're trying to do with this is that, we lost we lost the opportunity for a lot of followers because when we started on Spotify, right, the Gr4ves account was linked ironically to this Christian artist named Gr4ves as well. So when the feature of Just Like That came out, it went to the Christian Gr4ves, right? So then we're just chilling here like, oh man, we got to take that back. We got to take back our crown, man. Yeah. So we got to get them followers up,
Yeah, I totally feel that. That must be awkward for people who click through trying to find, Gr4ves and click through other songs and you're like, wait a second, this isn't right.
Hallelujah. What? Who are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thanks so much for coming on again. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for the interview, man.
No problem at all.
Okay. You know where it can't go wrong. Wait, train on.